Hello and welcome, this is Eagle-Eye621, and today I'm going to show you the best Glow Lichen farm that you can make. Now, best is going to be a little bit dependent on your needs, which is why you see 4 designs behind me, which we will go through very quickly today. And then this one back here is something you should stick around to the end of the video to see. It's a testing setup, so I know how the rates compare to the maximums. Before I get started, if you could help me in my goal of getting to 50,000 subs, I would really appreciate that, and also be sure to hit that like button. Now let's get started with our first farm, and that's going to be this one right here. Now it is important to know that for all of these farms, the harvesting method is going to be the same. You're going to grab yourself a pair of shears, and you're going to stand and collect from the harvest point, and you can hold down harvest and do your F3 and T trick in order to AFK. We'll get to that as we build. As I said, let's start with the first one, and the order in which you build it does come into play a little bit. What you need for that, as you can see, is an observer, a sticky piston, a dispenser, a block of redstone, and you're going to want something to stand on. You will need a glow lichen to start. And these buttons aren't necessary, but they do help. And then as much bone meal as you would like. Now we're going to start by putting our dispenser just this one block above the dropper, which is going to be one block above the ground. Just like this. We're going to destroy this block. We want a place where we can stand, so we can go one block away. We're going to have our sticky piston facing down, connected to that observer. Don't put in our redstone just yet. We're going to add our buttons, and that's going to be where you don't want this to grow. So that's going to be not there, on the sides. And then you can put one on the bottom as well. Again, these aren't necessary, but they will affect how this grows. And we're going to put one up there to start with, and fill this with bone meal. And now that the glow lichen is in front of the observer, we're going to want to put this redstone block like this with one air gap in the middle. And that means that when we get our shears, what we do is we harvest by clicking on the observer. And when you harvest it, it will trigger this observer, which will pull this up. And then when this grows again, it will push it back down, and so on and so forth. And this one will get you about 4,300 per hour, and this is about as small as you can possibly make one. Now, if you want to go a little bit faster than that, we're going to come to our second one right here. It's a little more iron heavy, but it does get you some better rates. And for that, you're going to need the 2 hoppers you saw, comparator, a lever, your glow lichen, of course, your dispenser, of course, a bunch of buttons, and a single junk item of any kind, and again, your bone meal. So let's get this into play. Now you're going to want to set up your hoppers facing into each other. So you can put one into that temporary block, and then put the next one facing into that hopper. We're going to take a reading from one of them, and that's going to go into a dispenser, just like this. And we're going to put our lever down here, which we can turn on, and we can put our junk item in there. And you see when we turn this off, we have a nice clock. And to take advantage of that clock, we're going to want to put a glow lichen right on its face. And then again, with our buttons, we don't want it to grow on this side. We don't want it to grow on top. And we need to add some bone meal in there so you can see what's going on. And this is the spot we're looking for. Again, as I said, the extra buttons don't really matter, but it looks a little bit cleaner. And then this is not what I meant to do. Let's put that back. This is the spot we're going to harvest from. So you break this, and it comes back. And you do your F3 plus T trick again, and this will keep up perfectly well. And this particular farm will get you about 5,200 per hour. Of course, in all of these designs, you can add hoppers to add more bone meal so that you don't run out. And you can give yourself an ability to replace your shears or to repair them as needed. we're going to go again a little bit faster, and this one also has the advantage of not needing, well, it does need a little bit more space, but you do get more. Let's grab the items from this chest right here. You can see again we're going to need the dispenser with the glow lichen, a comparator, a repeater, 4 bits of dust, a lever, and some stone blocks, and your buttons and bone meal again. So you're going to make your setup by going like this, 4 and 3. You're going to have your lever on this side. That's going to be into a comparator, which is going to be on subtract mode. We're going to put a repeater going in the other direction. Make sure this is on 2 ticks. If you have it on 1 tick, it will be basically the same rates, but you will waste a lot of bone meal. And then just complete our redstone circuit just like that. And put our dispenser connected to this block right here. And then our buttons can go around the sides where you don't want it to grow. And you're going to put the glow lichen right on the face again, filling this with bone meal. And when you turn this on, you can see that this is where we're going to harvest it from. And again, you take out your shears, you do your F3 plus T trick, and it will be perfectly fine to keep up with you. And in fact, you'll need to wait a little bit. For this particular one, you will get about 6,050 per hour, which is even faster as you take a little more space. And then for the fastest one yet, we have this design over here. This also has the advantage of not requiring any trips to the nether, but as you can see, we're obviously using a lot of slime. So let's take a look at what we need. You're going to need 5 of those slime blocks, a sticky piston, dispenser, block of redstone, 3 of these blocks, your lichen, and your buttons. Again, the buttons are optional with your bone meal. Let's get that into the inventory. And we're going to want to come up 1 off the ground for this so that we don't get anything stuck, because you can see that our slime is going to be connected to that block in the back. And we're going to come up like this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Some solid counting with Eagle Eye 621. Now, as you can again see from our example over here, we do need to put our sticky piston facing up like this. And we're going to want to have our dispenser just like this. And we're going to have our glow lichen over here. Let's put our block up top. And now, again, that redstone has an air gap just like this. And what we've actually done is we've created a block update detector, which is going to power this as we go. And you'll see exactly what that looks like. Let's get some bone meal into there. Let's get some of these buttons along the side. You can hear it starting to click. And sometimes it takes a moment to prime, but you can see that when we click this button, and let's put this back. Now, we are still adding some extra glow lichens to the side here. So let's get rid of those with our buttons. Again, not exactly required, but if you want to make it look a little nicer. And now you can see that every time you break this, it is put back because of this update. What's happening is anything connected to this piston right here is causing an update, which is causing this whole thing to react, and these blocks above and below ensure that we don't have a bouncing clock, which would be counterproductive, and that this dispenser is actually powered. And this design gives you the maximum possible rates of 6,400 per hour. And this is my recommended design if you have the space and you have access to the slime in order to get it. So now, how do I know this is the max possible rate? And that's because of this monstrosity of a testing setup right here. Let's take a look at exactly what this is. And you can see that we have on these 4 sides, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, we have dispensers, which are all facing into this block. Each of these dispensers are powered by an observer clock. So you can see we have 4 separate observer clocks, and all of these are currently being unpowered. They're not on because there's a lever which is activated pushing away the observers, and that's for all 4 of them. Now this little button brings us up here to our testing setup, and it will, when activated, push this log into these leaves. And this is a little bit of leaf stone tech. It takes exactly 1 game tick to transmit a signal across these leaves. So we have observers that are pointing into it, which will output, and when they output, they will cause a piston to push and break these levers. So what you have is 4 of these observer clocks at exactly 1 game tick apart, and because of the way this all works, that means that this block right here is getting hit with bone meal 72,000 times per hour. That is once every game tick. And we'll see if you can hear that when I turn this on. And that is a lot of clicking. And to test how fast you can possibly grow this, in order to see what the maximum is, I hit this block right here with 1 bone meal every single tick to make sure the limiting factor is going to be your harvesting speed of the player and not any timing issues you have. Now, part of these designs, you can see that this is wasting a tremendous amount of bone meal because unlike most of the other crops, if it has nowhere to grow, it will still waste the bone meal. So all of these designs were kept with preserving and not wasting any of your bone meal, and this design, which obviously wastes a tremendous amount, is just based on that testing. And then to turn this back off after our testing is complete, you have to go around manually and unpower each of these clocks. And with this monstrosity of a setup, the best I was able to do was that same 6,400 per hour, which is how I know that this design right here is going to be as fast as you will be able to mine this glow lichen, at least as of this current snapshot in which it is out. And that's really all there is to it. Now, I do want to give a little bit of credit. While I did come up with this design on my own, I did see that there was somebody in the technical Reddit Minecraft community that came up with something very similar to this, and I think he deserves a shout out just because great minds think alike, or something like that. So there'll be a link in the description to that post, so you can head on over and see what else he is working on. And that's really all there is to it. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a like. If you found it interesting, maybe even tell one of your friends or your favorite Minecraft YouTuber to see if they will build this in their world. And for more videos like this, please be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.